morning. I hope everyone is well and ready to start off their day with a great service. My name is Briara Parker, and I will be one of your facilitators today. To tell you a little bit about myself, I am a double major in finance and economics with a minor in civic and professional leadership. I am also a first-generation college student. I would like to leave each student and faculty member off with this quote: "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter." I will now be passing the spotlight off to Ty, who will help guide today's service.
Hello everyone, my name is Taekwon Golden, aka Ty. I'm a first generation student as well from West Philadelphia. My major is cellular molecular biology. Kind of a tongue twister, I hate saying that out loud. And yeah, it's pretty much about myself. I didn't bring a quote. I wasn't as prepared as Briara, but I'm gonna just make one up off the spot. Live your life like it's golden. Rams up. To get us started today, I will introduce WCU Gospel Ministries, and they will sing the national anthem and the Black national anthem. Lift every voice and sing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave, the brave.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling seas. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun
being Matthew and Sophia from the WCU Gospel Ministries, I will now welcome you the President of West Chester University, Dr. Christopher M. Fiorentino, who will present the Civility Award.
Welcome to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day at West Chester University. I'm honored to take part in this celebration of Dr. King's life, work, and legacy. While we're doing things a bit differently this year as we get together virtually, there was never any question of canceling today's events. This is far too important. In the 28-year history of holding this event, there has never been a more critical time to join together and renew our dedication to Dr. King's teachings. Horrific acts throughout this year remind us that systemic racism and injustice all too often persist in the land of the free. We are called upon to honor the lives of those targeted and martyred by racial injustice by taking action to end all forms of systemic and everyday racism. Silence on these issues equates to agreement. In early June, numerous West Chester students, faculty, staff, and members of the local community masked up and came to campus to support the Black Lives Matter movement. I participated in this peaceful protest and was inspired by all that I witnessed. I also was determined that this one-day protest would lead to sustained and intentional action to root out structural racism. For change to occur, we must seek out opportunity to increase our awareness. We must create space for dialogue. We must develop the necessary skills to disrupt and address racist acts. Throughout the fall semester, West Chester University has been creating such opportunities and spaces for people to come together and grow, like Courageous Conversations About Race, a three-part series that launched in August. Led by Dr. Anita Foman and co-sponsored by St. Paul's Baptist Church in West Chester, it featured real talk, meaningful, open, and sometimes uncomfortable discussions, as well as skill building about race and related topics that have fractured our society. This was the start of 16 weeks of special guest speakers, such as activist Angela Davis, as well as town halls, conferences, book clubs, and 2 additional courageous conversations, one on the topic of voting, the other on policing. Many more activities are planned for the spring semester, and most are open to the community at large. Later today, you can sign up to receive email notifications from the Office for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I encourage you to stay connected so that you don't miss out on these opportunities for learning and engagement. One of the things I find most remarkable about Dr. King is that whether he was faced with a small act of evil or a great injustice, he did not become bitter. He simply became more resolute. He was arrested more than 20 times and his home was bombed. But day after day, month after month, Dr. King continued to speak out, regardless of how much his words angered others. He continued to speak out against inequality until the day he died, felled by an assassin's bullet. In his Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech, Dr. King spoke of his hope for humanity. I have the audacity to believe that people everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. We must nurture these same convictions in our own hearts and find all the ways that we can take action to improve the lives of others. I'm confident that today's speakers and activities will inspire you, educate you, and hopefully help move you to take action in ways large or small. I want to thank you for coming today to honor Dr. King and to renew our commitment to uphold his principles. I would also like to express my appreciation to the Society, formerly known as the Frederick Douglass Society, for sponsoring this special celebration. We must not rest until the day when all men and women of every color, race, and creed live together in harmony and peace, as Dr. King once dreamed. Thank you again. For 20 years, the West Chester University Civility Award has been presented to an individual who's made an outstanding contribution to collegiality, community spirit, and to our shared mission of student success. In that tradition, I'm pleased to announce the 2021 Civility Award winner. This year's recipient has consistently fostered civility and advanced Westchester University's values during his 18 years of employment with the university. The author of one nomination letter notes that our award winner reaches out to help his students find jobs, counseling, shelter, food, and assistance with medical insurance. He knows that these students are working to pursue an education and opportunities for themselves that their parents or grandparents might not have had. The letter writer goes on to recognize that this individual's concern and compassion for Westchester University students extends well beyond the students he works with directly. The letter writer declares him the Santa Claus of the WCU Promise Program, which works to support homeless and foster youth on campus. In 2016, this individual teamed up with members of his large extended family to organize holiday events for the Promise Program. Over the years, this effort has grown from stockings with gift cards and oranges to raising more than $20,000 in gifts for more than 40 students and collaborating with community partners to provide meals and clothing. One constant has been the oranges in the stockings. This is something the individual's mother used to do when he was a child. The most recent holiday fundraiser was so successful that the Promise program will be able to provide bedding and clothes to incoming students this fall. This individual's efforts in 2020 are all the more remarkable because he faced great personal challenges, including several medical issues. A student in the Promise program writes that this individual has helped me grow as a man. He gave help in my times of need when I'm hungry, he figures out ways to get necessities I need, and he has been supportive of me through all the troubles I've been through. Another student writes, he's been nothing but good to me since I've been here at Westchester. He's willing to go to the furthest extent to make sure that we are in the best position to succeed on and off the field. It is with great pleasure that I announce that the 2021 Westchester University Civility Award goes to head football coach Bill Zwan. Bill, congratulations on this well-deserved honor. I'm looking forward to presenting this award to you in person later this year.
Thank you, Mr. President, for presenting the Civility Award. Next, we will have the Civic Engagement Faculty Service Award by the Civic Engagement and Social Impact Department.
Hi, my name is Dr. Seth Jacobson, Senior Director for the Center for Civic Engagement and Social Impact at Westchester University. I'll be presenting our center's Service Learning Teaching Excellence Award. This is an award that recognizes a faculty member who's dedicated to developing, implementing, and sustaining courses that offer quality service learning to our students. Service learning is a teaching method that combines community service with curricular goals and emphasizes critical, reflective thinking and civic responsibility. This growing area in higher education is distinguished from other experiential education approaches by benefiting both the provider and the recipient of service. This year's award recipient will receive a $500 faculty development stipend. On behalf of the Center for Civic Engagement and Social Impact, this year we are proud to recognize Dr. Ellie Brown from the Department of Psychology for her work on over 60 courses over 15 years in psychology research and field experiences. The university is fortunate to have had Dr. Brown join its faculty in 2005. And since her participation in a service learning and diversity workshop in 2006, Dr. Brown has infused her courses with hands-on service learning opportunities. Ellie's work is particularly exceptional to the degree that it's been sustaining over the last 15 years. And even with the incredible challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic over this past year, she's quickly adapted her work to the new conditions and continued to offer support to local children, families, organizations, and the students providing service. These are opportunities that fulfill several student learning objectives, but one that I want to emphasize today is an objective that centers child emotional development in the context of poverty, classism, racism, and related oppression. Ellie's work fulfills a most appropriate objective for us to honor during this week, commemorating the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. Brown's work has leveraged university resources to support community-based organizations with efforts including program evaluation and research on questions of mutual interest, such as the impact of poverty-related stress on children and families. For the Head Start partners she's worked with, Dr. Brown's efforts have supported classroom-based interventions for children with emotional and behavioral challenges, parental support groups, and additional resources requested by the Head Start sites, which vary from year to year. Dr. Brown's community engagement work is powered by the Early Childhood Cognition and Emotions Lab, which she founded to integrate her passion for teaching, research, and community service. In conjunction with that lab, her courses and research support more than 50 undergraduate and 5 graduate students each year engage in thoughtful and impactful research and service to the community. Collectively, her students contribute more than 16,000 hours of high-quality service to the community each year, including through the pandemic. If you'd like to learn more about Dr. Brown's work or how to introduce service learning into your courses at West Chester, please visit our center's website at wcupa.edu/impact, where she's featured for receiving this award, or contact Dr. Linda Stevenson or Steven Sassman listed among our center staff. Meanwhile, please join me in congratulating Dr. Brown for her excellent work.
Whereas his message of nonviolence, justice, and love transcended the vital issue of American racial relations and expanded to encompass the whole world. And whereas he demonstrated his commitment to provide both intellectual and moral leadership to a troubled nation. And whereas he did love and serve humanity. And whereas he lost his life so that America might find its soul. Therefore, be it resolved that West Chester University of Pennsylvania proclaims January 29, 2021 as Dr. Martin Luther King Day. Members of the university community are encouraged to rededicate themselves to fulfilling Dr. King's dream, adopted this 29th day of January 2021. 28th Annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration.
Hello, and thank you for being with us today. On behalf of President Fiorentino and the Society of West Chester University, it is with great pride that I accept the proclamation as read.
Now I'd like to introduce Bill Jolly. This part was interesting because there's so many things I can say about this honorable man. Just to give you a picture, he literally has a website with 50 facts about himself and so much extensive information. But what I will include today is that he's a West Chester alumni, so, Rams up again. He's performed for past presidents, multiple presidents. Like, that blows my mind. And then he also went to my neighborhood high school of Overbrook High, so shout out West Philly. Something about West this. Everything West is up today. So, now introducing Bill Jolly. Thank you for coming.
1, 2, 3, 4. Love's in Need of Love Today, one of my favorite Stevie tunes, for those of you who don't know that. And wow, what an apropos tune for 2021. Yeah, we need a lot more love. My name is Bill Jolly, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm from the class of 82, West Chester University. Wow, 82, that sounds like a long time ago, but it's okay. It's all right, we're here. I'm just glad to be here. I'm blessed to be here and glad to be able to make it into 2021, and I hope you are too as well. I am very honored to be the first speaker here for the virtual Martin Luther King celebration event and for the Society of West Chester University. And one of the things they would like me to discuss today is Black Lives Matter, where do we go from here? Well, I'm not going to give you a big political speech. There are people who can do that much better than I can. I'm a creative person, so I'm going to talk to you about my life. I'm going to talk to you about creativity. And I'm going to talk to you about things that we can all do, whether you're a political activist or just a normal person waking up every day and trying to live your own dreams to go forward. So before we can talk about where we're going, I think we need to talk about where we are. Even if you wanted to go to a lovely island, the first thing they ask you online is, where are you departing from? So let's think about where we're departing from. 2020 was a crazy place. I'm sure for all of us, there was a time when we probably said, we don't even know, is this America? Like what's, like what is happening? And the other thing was we weren't quite sure where we were going either. So that was kind of crazy too. You know, when I think about 2020 now, I'm sure when later in life, when we think about 2020, we will think about Kobe Bryant. We will think about Donald Trump, for good or for bad, police brutality. We will think about racism, masks, so many things. There were so many negatives in 2020 that I'm sure we will all remember in 2021. But what I'd like to do right now is I'd like to talk to you about my 2020 and what I plan to do in 2021 and how I was able to get through. I think it may be able to help some of you, hopefully. My 2020 started out really hopeful. I had a lot of great projects that were coming up. I was really looking forward to. As a matter of fact, before everything shut down, I was about 2 weeks away from a major Stevie Wonder tribute that I was doing at the Berks Jazz Festival. And in a matter of about 2 days, my entire schedule just went poof. It just disappeared. It was like one of those magicians in the hat, you know, with the rabbit. It was just gone. And for a minute, I think I just grieved for a minute. And I think I looked around and tried to figure out, like, okay, what is going on? Of course, I watched a lot of TV, like all of us did, trying to figure out what was happening. And but the strange thing was, the more I watched TV, the more depressed I started to feel. Like, I think I had it felt like a small depression going on because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know where it was going. I was thinking to myself, are we no longer going to be able to gather, play music, touch anybody? Like, all of these crazy things were happening. But the best thing that I did was I figured out, okay, what is it that's causing me the most stress right now? And what was causing me the most stress right now was that I was ingesting too much negativity. So I decided to shut the TV off. I went outside in my yard and I started picking weeds. And all of a sudden I started feeling better. I started feeling a whole lot better. And then I came back in and I said to myself, okay, how can I try to make something positive out of such a negative start to a year? And what I decided that the best thing for me to do was to say, how can I surround myself with positive energy, with positive vibes, with positive projects? And I realized that because there's nothing essentially on my schedule, that now I can really do whatever I want to do, or anything that I have decided I have always wanted to do, I can do. So I started working on projects that I've always wanted to try. And then a strange thing happened. I started feeling really good. I mean, I was really excited about coming downstairs and working in my studio every day. And then things just started picking up. And the next thing I know, I started to get as busy as I was. But I had to be creative. I had to really be creative. I had to use every talent that I had, because for most people, especially creative people who are used to being in front of an audience, that's taken away from us now. So we can't perform in front of other people. So we had to figure out, what else is it that we can do? And for many of us, I'm sure that was a major, major challenge. So here's some tips on how I think we can all go forward. Number one, make sure that you are emotionally and mentally healthy. I mean, first, there are so many things that are going on, and we just can't go forward with great plans if we're unhappy or we're unhealthy. Number two, surround yourself with positive people, positive activities. Walk. Eliminate negative people on social media. Pray more. Do whatever you have to do. Surround yourself with things that make you happy every single day. That's the only way you can get through the negativity. Number three, now is the time to really dream big. I mean, whatever you think that you've ever wanted to do, just try it. Write it down on paper. You know, there may be an opportunity for you to do that. And don't wait. Do it now. These are the things you desire to do. Get it all done now. Number four, look for new or creative opportunities. There are grants available for people of color to stimulate the economy. Start now. Start now with your business. Anything that you decide that you really want to do, just do it. Number five, take all the negative perceptions that people may have for you and turn them into stepping stones, motivation, and fuel. You know, when I was at Westchester, I never made the jazz band my entire 4 years. I failed piano 101. That was my motivation. That was my fuel. Now, there are many of us now who have been let go from jobs. There are many of us now who have situations that we just can't get around financially. Maybe we've been done wrong. Now's the time for you to say, okay, how can I take this situation that upsets me and turn this into something positive? Lastly, find a way to stay positive. Find a way to help others. Find a way to stay grateful and stay focused. I'm wishing all of you the best that you can have in 2021. I wish your families health and happiness and prosperity. This is Bill Jolly. Thank you so much. And I'd like to leave you with this last little piece that we actually did with a good friend of mine, Yuki Washington from CBS 3. At the beginning of the year, we needed to come together to try to do something to inspire people, to give us some hope. And we decided to do a version of Bridge Over Troubled Waters. And I'd like to leave you with that now and pray that all of you stay safe, happy, and healthy. All right? Have a great 2021. Let's go forward. Okay, people. Ciao.
Stand by the open in 3, 2, 1.
When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. Oh, I'm on your side. Oh, when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, we will comfort you.
So far, this strategy is working.
We simply cannot get complacent.
We'll take your part.
We all need to do our part.
Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, sail on bright. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind.
like to welcome Dr. Sophia Sunshine, who will present a spoken word presentation.
I wrote this piece entitled Two Americas. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. so eloquently said, "We must come to see that the end we seek is a society at peace with itself, a society that can live with its conscience." I am heartened and disheartened at the same time that so many of his words that prove to be a healing balm to our spirits and nation are relevant and timely still, for real. This is what the brutal reckoning of the last year has been. Black and brown voices screaming actually, that this society is not at peace with itself. How could it be? It's unable to live with its conscience because it can't even admit the level of violence that it continues to inflict on us, just because. We earnestly chanted something so fundamentally basic, Black Lives Matter. To that you retorted, all lives matter, and blue lives matter. Until ironically a couple of weeks ago when your own lives and blue lives didn't even matter enough at the Capitol. That you rioted and stormed for rationales and logic that remain completely ignorant and unformed. Misinformed. Well, we can't even say that we were not forewarned. We witnessed white privilege and supremacy blatantly performed. Now, I'm not speaking for all of us, but let me tell you what Black folks saw, which we already knew. That those in uniform, even when their lives are blatantly in distress, they know how to withhold and suppress, reassess their need to shoot and kill. We are distraught still with your knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. We won't soon forget. The hashtags you forced us to become when Eric Garner was merely selling loose cigarettes and Philando Castile was reaching for his identification and Trayvon Martin was just walking through a neighborhood with Skittles and a hoodie on and George Floyd allegedly had a counterfeit 20. But then you have jokers like Jacob Chansley rioting in DC, arrested and in a detention center, but foregoing food in a panic because it's not organic. Like we legit had children locked up in cages, casually on front pages. There are two Americas, and they are vastly different. And to that, don't you dare remain complicit and indifferent.
I would now like to invite Mr. Jerome Ambrose, the Digital Media Center technician, who's now going to introduce the WCU community video response.
Hi everyone, my name is Jerome Ambrose, and it's been my pleasure to put these videos together for the past few years. Let's go with that. Obviously this one came with special challenges because we were unable to bring everyone to the studio. So an extra special thank you goes out to all the community members who took time to record their messages. You guys always do a great job, and this year was no different. As always, the responses were inspiring, and in my opinion, they're very much needed for the times we're living in. In doing these videos, there's always a kind of duality, of the progress that has been made and the progress that we still need to make. And I think this year our participants did a really great job of expressing both the gratitude and appreciation for the progress that the country has made when it comes to race relations and systemic discrimination. But they also did a great job expressing the sentiment that African Americans are still seeking justice and are still dealing with a system that discriminates against them. And so my biggest takeaway is that we can have both. They're not mutually exclusive. So we can appreciate the progress that has been made up to this point and still know that the job's not done. The final destination, hasn't been reached. So we must continue to strive. And I think that was my biggest takeaway. So I hope that by watching this video, you too will walk away with your own message, and that it will inspire you to stay committed to bringing Dr. King's dream and that idea of freedom and justice for all, to reality. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Again, thank you to all the participants who participated. And without further ado, here is our 2021 MLK Day video, Reimagining the Fight for Justice.
Dr. King's legacy has allowed me to pursue my personal goals interests, and dreams, but to now be in a position where I can empower others and provide them pathways to success.
Dr. King's legacy has impacted my life in a way that I have remained committed to doing the very best that I can in my daily affairs to challenge systems of oppression, to check my own bias, to check my own privilege, and to ensure that I am thinking about others and how my decisions, both my conscious as well as unconscious decisions, impact how people experience life, and specifically how people who are often on the margins of our society experience day-to-day life.
Dr. King's legacy has had a major impact on my life as I try to live his principles of nonviolence, and as I use his principles of nonviolent social change in my interactions in social movements and in the communities that I'm a part of.
I am grateful for Dr. King's contribution to the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 because he has opened so many doors for people of color, especially Black people in this country.
Dr. King's legacy means to me collective accountability to a set of values that ensures that every single person on this planet and even the planet itself is understood to be of value.
In one word, Dr. King's legacy represents unity.
The word that I would choose to represent Dr. King's legacy is hope.
If I could identify one word that would describe that legacy, I would say it's courage.
Dr. King's legacy is revolutionary.
In one word, if I can describe the legacy of Dr. King and what it represents in a word, I would say togetherness.
The one word that I would use to describe the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Is love.
The word I would choose is leadership. The world today is not scared to take risks to follow their dreams. We're not scared to fail, as long as we know we tried, and we're not scared to give up. That's the definition of a true leader.
When I think of a few words that encapsulates what the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. represents to the world, I think of healing and I think of longevity.
In one word, the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Represents hope.
One word that describes the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is perseverance. His journey was definitely not easy, and the civil rights movement of the time reflects that. They all fought long and hard, even in the face of severe and violent backlash, to fight for what is right, the eradication of injustices for all people.
Social justice and equality to me is everything to me, given that oftentimes I'm on the wrong side of it. Being an African-American male, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it does give you, the opportunity to, voice for a better world at times because you experience some things that, other races may not get to experience. And then there's things that other races and other ethnicities experience that I don't get to experience. My dream is just, is similar to King's dream. I just want everybody to be equal. I could have a brother who's white. I could have a brother who's Hispanic. I could have a Black brother, anything, of any race, any color, any creed.
Social justice and equality to mean people are taken care of. People have what they need. People don't need to be worried. And people are treated as human beings. My dream is that we actually live out Dr. King's understanding of a revolution of values, where we take seriously his condemning racism, militarism, and materialism as the evils of the world, and we combat those in our daily lives and in our politics and in our policies and the way we treat each other.
Social justice means so much to me. Social justice means equality in all area, all aspect of life, politically, economically, and socially. It means equal health care, it means equal employment, equal opportunity, it means equal access to food, to shelter, to education. It means equal equity, it means gender equality, racial equality, it just means so much to me. And my dream is to continue to carry on this legacy and those things in my daily life and in my community.
Social justice and equality to me means that all people are free from injustices. If one group is not free, then no one is free. My dream is to see this enacted throughout all different levels of society, from the institutions that develop our laws and policies to the everyday interactions that we have as individuals.
So we were taught that you accepted that you were going to have to work twice as hard. You accepted that you were going to have to walk the straight and narrow, and that you didn't have the chance to make mistakes in the way that others did. And that was just something that we took on. And as I look at young people today, I hear their messages, no justice, no peace. And I think every generation reinterprets this idea of equality and justice in its own way. And that's as it should be. And it's encouraging to see them stand up in the way that they do. And all of it is toward the idea of Martin Luther King, which is to treat somebody based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin.
Dr. Martin Luther King would characterize today's civil rights movements as incredibly resilient.
I think MLK would characterize the civil rights movement that we currently find ourselves in as circular, disorganized, infuriating, yet invigorating.
I think the preacher in him would say, whoever will, let him come. And we would recognize that wherever you are and whatever space you occupy, you can impact change.
What Dr. King did so eloquently with that speech is to articulate what the idea of America is and told us how we could achieve equality by fiercely stating, "Let freedom ring." We have not yet lived up to the values expressed in that dream. People are still being judged by the color of their skin rather than by the content of their character. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? America's dream may be deferred, but it is still possible.
I think a more important factor to reimagine to justice is reconstructing justice. The tools and the job to actually implement and construct those actions to create change. I think that's the most important thing, because we actually need things to happen now to make the future better. We need reform, we need new laws, we need new systems and practices that we can implement now to actually get some social justice. That's another thing about Martin Luther King that I enjoy. He didn't just want to imagine what the perfect world would be like. He wanted to build it. He wanted to make it.
Individuals like Ella Baker and Diane Nash and Mary McLeod Bethune, they all had a vision of justice. I just don't think that we have achieved that vision of justice. So perhaps we don't need to reimagine it. Perhaps we just need to be reminded about what it is and be more committed now than ever to reach that point.
Reimagining justice to me means that people are treated as though they are part of the beloved community, that we treat each other like we're connected in real ways as human beings with real life issues and in different circumstances and contexts. But when it comes down to it, we all have the same desires and needs to be accepted, to be connected with one another, and to be treated fairly and justly in the world.
Reimagining justice means that there will no longer be two justice systems in America, one for whites and one for blacks. Reimagining justice means that there will finally be the equal justice under law. Reimagining justice means that every Indigenous person who has been displaced will be honored appropriately, and that the descendants of the enslaved will be recognized and adequately compensated for building this nation and being treated horribly since 1619. Reimagining justice means that the state's public education funding formulas will be equitable. Reimagining justice means that we will truly believe that all people are created equally, regardless of their hue.
Reimagining justice means that every single person in their wholeness is invited to the table, is invited to participate in the fullness of our society, in the fullness of our democracy, in the fullness of our systems, and all of them are welcome.
Reimagining justice means to actually have faith and hope that the justice system will and can be just for people who look like me.
And I think oftentimes when we look at justice, we think about those going to the extreme examples. You have to be actively engaged in protest or direct political action, but really we can foster justice by building those relationships within our local communities.
Reimagining justice means each person sees themselves as part of the problem or part of the solution. Both should spur you to action. Which side of history do you choose?
Reimagine.
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 The fight.
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 For justice. For justice.
For justice.
For justice.
For justice.
For justice.
For justice.
For justice. The Drum Major for Justice Award is a prestigious award that is given to those that have been following in the footsteps of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by dedicating their lives working to gain justice for others. The title Drum Major for Justice is taken from a serum Dr. King delivered 2 months before his assassination on April 4, 1968. In that serum, Dr. King spoke about his life and how he wanted to be remembered. Drum Major for Justice honorees are Westchester University alumni who through their personal and or professional efforts have exemplified themselves as pillars of the community. Men and women who are role models, leaders in their field and actively involved in improving the world around them. Each year, the Society puts out a call for nominations from the WCU campus community. The committee reviews each nomination, votes, and then selects 1 or more persons to receive the Drum Major for Justice Award. The award is then presented given at Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration brunch in January of each year.
And here's the excerpt from the Drum Major Instinct sermon given February 4th, 1968 by Martin Luther King. If any of you are around when I have to meet my day, I don't want a long funeral. If you get somebody to deliver the eulogy, tell them not to talk too long. And every now and then, I wonder what I want them to say. Tell them not to mention that I have a Nobel Peace Prize. That isn't important. Tell them not to mention that I have 300 or 400 other awards. That's not important. Tell them not to mention where I went to school. I'd like somebody to mention that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to give his life serving others. I'd like for somebody to say that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to love somebody. I want you to say that day that I tried to be right on the war question. I want you to be able to say that day that I did try to feed the hungry. And I want you to be able to say that day that I did try in my life to clothe those who were naked. I want you to say on that day that I did try in my life to visit those who were in prison. I want you to say that I tried to love and serve humanity. Yes, if you want to say that I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say that I was a drum major for peace. I was a drum major for righteousness. And all of the other shallow things will not matter. I won't have any money to leave behind. I won't have the fine and luxurious things of life to leave behind. But I just want to leave a committed life behind. That's all I want to say.
I now welcome Dr. Miguel, Professor of Sociology, who will present the Drum Major for Justice Award.
My name is Dr. Miguel Ceballos, Associate Professor of Sociology and Director of the Institute of Race and Ethnic Studies, and I have the pleasure and honor of presenting this year's Drum Major for Justice Awards. Our first awardee is Carolyn Bragg. Since graduating from Westchester University in 2014, Carolyn has been named the youngest African American male to be recognized by the Athletics NFL 40 Under 40. He is also a 3-time Emmy Award-winning producer, co-chair for the BEN Black Engagement Network, internship coordinator for NFL Films, and an inspirational speaker and mentor to young people in his community. He has directed, produced, and edited content for shows airing on ESPN, CBS Sports, the NFL Network, and Amazon Video, among others. As the co-chair of the BEN at NFL Films, he is dedicated to raising awareness and has become a voice for the voiceless fighting for equity in the workplace. His work has helped the NFL shift its focus to creating a more even playing field for people of color, while focusing on their acquisition, retention, and promotion. Carolyn has been instrumental in securing buy-in from senior executives to recruit and develop external candidates of color, which is the first opportunity of this kind in over 50 years of the company's history. Notably, he serves as the youngest member of the NFL's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, focusing on creating accountability of senior leaders, establishing benchmark goals, and maintaining how diversity, equity, and inclusion practices relate to the NFL business model. Within the community, Carolyn pursues his passion and commitment of being a source of inspiration for the next generation. He spearheaded the inaugural NFL Films National High School Film Festival, where they donated an honorarium to the highest school's video production program and expanded opportunities for students. He also spends a portion of his time speaking with and mentoring students interested in exploring careers in film and television. Whether mentoring interns under his leadership or those countless students residing in the city of Sicklerville, New Jersey, his goal is to always be the example he wished he had as he developed into the person he is today. His work has helped countless young adults around the country navigate their personal and educational and professional journeys while overcoming challenges of mental health and rejection. He dedicates his life to sharing his testimony in hopes that it will inspire others and give them the assurance that their greatest successes will come when they trust their journey as they pursue their dreams. Without further ado, and on behalf of the Society of Westchester University, I am honored to present the 2021 Drum Major for Justice Award to Carolyn Bragg. Please join us in congratulating Carolyn.
Hello everyone. It is an honor and privilege to accept the 2021 Drum Major for Justice Award, named after Dr. Martin Luther King, a man that I idolize and try to follow in the footsteps to create a better place for people that look like me. And every day I set out to do that from the internship program or in the DEI space here at NFL Films. I hope that I can leave a little bit of a legacy similar to what Dr. Martin Luther King has left us all. I'm truly just honored and thankful for this award, coming from my alma mater, a place that I love, and I found my true purpose and passion. And to everyone who selected me, I truly appreciate it. So thank you again, and hope you have a great day.
Our second awardee for this year's Drum Major for Justice Award is Deirdre Gray. Since 2013, Deirdre has volunteered her time, talents, and wisdom with Westchester University in numerous capacities. Currently, she serves on the Alumni Foundation Scholarship Selection Committee, is chapter liaison for the Alumni Association Board of Directors, and president of the Black Alumni Chapter. As president of the BAC, Deirdre increased alumni engagement and enhanced programming and involvement in the WCU community. Under her leadership, many new initiatives were born, including establishing a BAC Legacy Recognition Program, founding a BAC Scholarship Program for undergraduate students, and implementing the BAC Mentoring Program. Under her presidency, the BAC Scholarship was awarded over $6,200 in scholarships and book awards to deserving African American and Latina students. Similarly, the BAC Mentoring Program has positively influenced lives of more than 45 students who have successfully matriculated or graduated from WCU. Finally, the BAC has become the largest and most active chapter within the WCU Alumni Association, hosting numerous social, service, educational, fundraising, and networking events. Within the community, in 2018, Deirdre has become a member of the Philadelphia section of the NCNW, the National Council of Negro Women, Incorporated, where she served as program chairperson for the 2019 Founders Day Luncheon. This involvement gave Deirdre the vision to start a Delaware Valley section of the same organization. In August of 2020, the Delaware Valley, Pennsylvania section of the NCNW officially received its charter. Through this section, she carries out the mission of the NCNW, expanding the positive impact and influence of Black women in Pennsylvania. Deirdre believes we must use our voices to implement systemic changes that involve resolution of the injustices facing women and people of color. When asked what Deirdre believes her life purpose to be, she sums it as to encourage hearts, inspire dreams, empower leaders, and impact lives. Without further ado, and on behalf of the Society of Westchester University, I'm honored to present the 2021 Drum Major for Justice Award to Deirdre Gray. Please join us in congratulating Deirdre.
Good morning, Dr. Fiorentino, the Executive Board, and members of the Society, WCU faculty, staff, alumni, family, and friends. My name is Deirdre Gray, and first allow me to say thank you. Thank you to the Society of Westchester University for selecting little old me as a recipient of the 2021 Drum Majors for Justice Award. And thank you to my friend and NCNW sister, Dr. Kristen Alston, for nominating me. I was in awe as I read her nomination and amazed at how others perceive me and the work I've done. I actually said I wanted to meet the person that she was writing about. But all I can say is, to God be the glory. Thank you to my mother, who raised me to be the strong woman I am today. Thank you to my husband for being supportive and always having my back. My children for being my inspiration. My family for your constant encouragement and support. And my inner circle, my sister friends, my BAC and NCNW family who pray for me, work with me, and push me to grow as a leader. I'm not only honored to receive this award, but I am humbled. When I think back to the many works of Dr. King, I am proud of the strides we've made. I'm quickly reminded of how much more work we have left to do. Now is not the time to rest on our laurels or the work of our grandparents or our parents. We have work to do, so we have no time to be comfortable or complacent. We must exercise our voice and encourage everyone, especially our young people, to vote and speak up and speak out. Today's political environment is disheartening to say the least, and our democracy is being threatened. But we must not get discouraged. We must remain steadfast in our commitment and fight for change, because if we are silent, we imply sin. Dr. King said, Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. It is also our responsibility to reach out and reach back to help others around us in need. Due to this pandemic, our nation is hurting in every aspect. We can't say it's not our problem because it's not directly affecting our family or us. The other part of Dr. King's quote is, we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. We must all come together, work together, love together to help one another through these times. The song says, I need you, you need me. We're all a part of God's body. You are important to me. I need you to survive. I am committed to giving back to my community, advancing the legacy of Black women to ensure we have a seat at the table. But God has also called me to be a blessing to the young adults at Westchester University. We must do everything in our power to promote education and make it accessible for everyone. Once we get them here, we must empower and equip them with tools and resources to help them succeed. Don't just give them textbook education, but educate them about the fight for social justice and racial equality. Encourage civic engagement and teach them about discovering and walking in their purpose. We must keep it real, and we must teach them that hills and valleys will be a part of their journey, but they must keep going because pain pushes you into purpose. God has given each of us purpose to fulfill. My purpose is to encourage hearts, inspire dreams, empower leaders, and impact lives. Let's work together and use our gifts to create change. I am only one woman. One woman can make a difference, but together we can rock the world. Again, thank you to the Society for this award. I'm truly honored and truly humbled. Thank you.
Hello, friends. I'm State Senator Carolyn Comitta. Today, we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. As you and I both know, the events of the last year and the last week clearly show that our work is far from complete. I'm here at the Frederick Douglass statue at D. Baptiste Plaza on the campus at Westchester University. The work of Frederick Douglass, Dr. King, and so many others is another reminder that the struggle for equality was and is a long time coming. It's a reminder that the struggle continues today, and it's a reminder that we have a lot of work ahead.
I also want to recognize the recipients of this year's Drum Major for Justice Awards, Cortland Bragg and Deirdre Gray. The title Drum Major for Justice is taken from one of Dr. King's sermons, which he gave in 1968, the same year he was assassinated. In that speech, Dr. King spoke about his life and how he wanted to be remembered, saying, "If you want to say that I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say that I was a drum major for peace. I was a drum major for righteousness." Cortland and Deirdre, thank you for following in the footsteps of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Thank you for your time. I fully hope and expect to see you in person next year to celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. King. Until then, keep the faith, and please know I will always stand with you to seek justice.
I would like to thank everyone for tuning into the event today. You can also show your support by visiting the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fundraising website and giving to the Frederick Douglass Legacy Scholarship Fund. May I conclude by saying the fight for justice continues with each of you.
We, along with the Society Executive Board, would like to thank faculty, staff, and administrators for their contributions to make our first virtual event a success. In particular, we would like to thank Jerome Ambrose, Joe Watts, Seth Birch, Amanda Blue, Dr. Miguel Ceballos, President Fiorentino, and WCU Gospel Ministries for their support.
Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. People from every nation and tongue, from generation to generation, we worship you. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we worship you for who you are. We worship you. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we worship you for who you are. You are good. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. People from every nation and tongue, from generation to generation, we worship you. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we worship you for who you are. We worship you. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we worship you for who you are. You are good all the time and all the time. You are good. You are good all the time and all the time. You are good. You are good all the time and all the time. You are good. You are good all the time and all the time. You are good. You are good all the time and all the time. You are good. You are good all the time and all the time. You are good. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. People from every nation and tongue, from generation to generation, we worship you. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we worship you for who you are. We worship you.